Male Review on Yale Radiocast.
Hello, Yale Radiocast family. Do not adjust your speakers. That is right. You are hearing Josh, the intern, right now. Been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the Male Review. And we got the leg, minus one part of the leg in the building, and then some. So I've been gone for a while.
Yes,
but
you
finally my lady allowed me to be back up in the building. So I have been allowed to come back in the building despite popular opinion. Okay. So it has been quite the week. It's been quite the month, but it's definitely been quite the week. We're gonna keep it a little bit. We ain't gonna go into the whole month, but we'll keep it on a week. It's been quite the week, I'll tell you what. And I want to just give a real big up to all of our followers of Yale Radiocast, the Male Review, Rap Analytics, and Women in the Mic. And, you know, for all of you out there that tune in regularly, we appreciate you. Dylan, how has your week been?
Boy, I swear, man. We try to keep it so professional. But that's my guy, Josh, the intern.
Hey.
That's my hitter.
Hey.
That's my hitter. What's happening there? Thank you, everybody. Let me reel it back in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Male Review on Yale Radiocast. Once again, we do say thank you and salute to everybody that's tuning in. Apologize for the late start, but, you know, we are operating on colored people time, black people time. That's how we do. I mean, y'all tuned in. I see you on the chat. Keep it coming, please. We got an outstanding show, and we got to do it real big. So we started late, but it is very worth the wait. We got a full leg here with the exclusion of the kneecap. The kneecap being marked L. For those who are unaware, the leg, the Male Review, we go by the leg, which is short for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So we're gonna go ahead and pan it to the part of the leg that's never here with us. Mr. TR, Mr. Tyrone Roberts is in the building with your family. He's back in the building, man. What's happening to TR?
Yo, this is TR back in the building, man. And everybody know and love me. Can you hear the love? Can you feel the love?
Oh, that's
the
what
love is there.
This
the
man
love
comes,
is there.
He comes with his own
My
audience.
people love me, man. My people love me, man. What's wrong with y'all when y'all don't love TR, man? When y'all don't love TR, y'all got the problems.
And just so you know, that's everybody that he's keeping captive in the Batcave.
Right, in the Batcave. So I would say that I'm honored being here with the rest of my brethren. Yeah. And I would honestly say the extension of our brotherly love is two extraordinary gentlemen that have joined us today and that are doing their grind in different facets. Didn't y'all know that we honestly represent so many facets that it's ridiculous, people? It is ridiculous. On Yale Entertainment, RTV, we have extensions of who we are and what we're trying to do in our community.
You know
what I'm saying? Because what's the number one thing, everybody? Community. You can't be who you are. You can't represent rightfully unless you have those people who you're training up. You have that what's called legacy. You can be frivolous with your life if you want to, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So that being said, I got two extraordinary gentlemen in the building. They deserve the patented crown that I carry with me everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. Now, one of them might get that. Now, did y'all hear that? One of them might get that. And the other one might get the... I'm not saying which one. It's whatever they got going on. Ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? Both of them get the applause today.
Yes.
I have on my right hand Mr. Billy D. Williams of Accountable Youth.
What's going on, Billy D? Brother Billy D.
Yo, what's up?
There's a veteran in the building.
Now, word, 2 times that make me a vet.
Yeah. 2 times make you a vet.
I gladly accept it.
2 times make you a vet.
For sure, man.
And swinging it real hard to, on his right,
the up and coming
Schexnayder. We know him by Chex. And he's bringing us actually a show that's called Financially Speaking.
We know about Chex?
We know about checks.
Oh, we do.
We know about checks.
So,
we don't know. No. Listen.
We don't know the dirt about checks.
Listeners know about checks, though.
Listen. Let me explain something. We know about checks. He's here to explain to us about checks and balances.
Oh.
Yes.
So checks.
Go ahead, my brother.
Who are you?
My name, Shawn Schexnayder. First of all, I want to just give a shout out to everybody that's watching and streaming live. To my big brother that's out there. I just wanted to give a shout out to y'all because they tuning in. But I just wanted to talk about everyday conversations that we need to have about finances. The more people that I talk to about buying houses, investments, stock market, anything of that nature, buying land or anything, it just amazes me, like, because I didn't know how much, the stuff that we're not taught in school, especially in our community, and how much it plays a role in our success and making generational wealth. So I just want to capture as many people as I can and talk to as many people as I can that are interested and willing to get their success started and how much they can do and how much, like our community, we don't know about certain things, man. It's just everybody that I talk to is like, well, man, I didn't know that. Oh, man, I didn't know that. And I'm thinking everybody knows it. So I'm just trying to share information that basically everybody should know.
Mr. Schexnayder, let me give everybody a caveat to this. Now, you're talking about somebody who went from sleeping in their living room with just a blanket, didn't have a bed, and he's gonna explain this to y'all.
Well, let him go ahead and tell the story, man.
All right.
But can I get a caveat? Can I get a caveat? He my brother and I love him. Okay. And I love him. And here's why I love him. Because he came from the position that most people are talking about you can't come from or you can't get out of. Now, I want people to understand that. Because we have a lot of people here that do what? What is the one thing they do? They give excuses. They give excuses. They give excuses when it comes to financial literacy. They give excuses when it comes to being accountable for our youth. But we have gentlemen here that are doing just that. So our thing with the league, the gentlemen that are here, is that we're giving accountability where you don't see it a lot of times. So go ahead, Mr. Schexnayder. We want you to dive deeper into this rabbit hole that you call Schexnayder.
Okay, all right. Well, if you really want to know, most people that think they know me, they really don't know me. My background isn't just where I started a business in Dallas, or where they see me and I have a home, or it dives deeper. It's basically deeper than that, and I'm just trying to put a common ground together for us, and it was like, well, I can't do this. Everybody sees the success story, just like they say, they don't see the work that you put into it and the struggle before the success comes.
Right.
So, and everybody has a common ground, and everybody doesn't start in the same place. And everybody, and especially in our community, we see the people that are on TV, on this, on that, and we're like, this is the way that, the only way we think we can make it. But the percentage-wise, everybody can't be a professional athlete. Everybody can't be this. Everybody can't be that. But it's more lucrative. Like, this is an avenue where we can go, financial-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I came from a guy that didn't have a home. Like, I was in Texas and was homeless for a little bit. Nobody didn't know that. Nobody knew that I was sleeping in my truck. Nobody knew I went from that to a efficiency apartment that was only 400 square feet, and I was paying $475 a month, including cable, but never watched TV for 6 months because I couldn't afford a TV. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
I was sleeping on the floor. I didn't even have a mattress. Like, somebody actually donated a mattress to me so I wouldn't sleep on the floor when they found out at my job that I was sleeping on the floor. Like, literally, when I first started there, they was like, man, this guy he works hard. He's here at 6 o'clock in the morning and he's at 6 o'clock at night. Well, I just didn't have nowhere to go. Sometimes I was actually sleeping in the office.
Ah, man. Listen
know?
here, brother. Let me tell you, man. You are preaching to the choir right now. I promise you I can relate to that story, man. Where you're doing what you got to do to survive, but you don't want nobody to see your total struggle, correct?
No, well, at that time, I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me or what I was doing.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, I'm happy to be where I am because I know it's going to get better. And you know how people always say you can look at the glass half full or half empty. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at it half full because I know I'm going to pour more into this glass.
Right.
I know there's potential in me making more money or getting to a better place. And that's the part that I'm trying to say. Like, you can be at the bottom and think you're at the bottom, but there's nothing but opportunity.
Right. How did you finagle that perception? Why did you think that people thought that you were just being due diligent at your job versus the idea that you was just trying to put the pieces together, my brother?
Man, let me tell you, man, the move to Texas was an eye-opening one because it expanded my mind where I came from, you know, being in the military and then being in a military town to just all of a sudden I'm in a big metroplex where they had just so much opportunity, you know. So I just went in and started diving into that opportunity. But people were looking at me and was like, man, this guy's he's super healthy. He's always working out. He's motivated. He's just, you know. But the thing was, I didn't have a place to go. I was at work because I didn't have nothing else to do. I was eating healthy because it was cheap and it was affordable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I bought a big thing of oatmeal that cost $1.50 that I ate every morning that lasted the whole month.
Right. How?
You know? This was the first time in my life that I ate ramen noodles. It was the first time I hated the smell of tuna, but I ate it. You know what I'm saying? I know to this day how much a can of tuna cost in 2008 because I bought it so much. 27 cents a can.
Wow.
Man, like, wow. That's how much tuna I ate. You know, and that's like people saw me eating healthy, but that was like, you know what? I was on a budget because I only can spend $20 a week on food.
So where are you at now?
Let me ask you that. How did you get to where you're at now?
Yeah.
Okay.
To be a person who is in the position,
myself on a budget.
Yeah, well, to explain to the next person financial literacy, because you're saying you was here, and there are many people who are still here that can't see how to get to where you're going to tell where you're at. But there are some people who says, well, where are you? Because if you went through this, you ain't nothing, and you did it, and all the labels that they give to us in our position in our community.
I went from a regular guy working as a security guard, valet, parking lot, all that other stuff, making $8 an hour, to going overseas and making over $200,000 a year. And then because of the, you know, I put myself in a position to have the money and put myself on a budget and started investing a whole lot, I was able to pay cash to go into a franchise and go into a business and make money for myself. But, you know, that was not until I put myself on a budget of $30,000 a year, you know, to live. And then as I made more money, I didn't spend more money. I saved more money. They call it paying yourself. So I paid myself first. As I made more money, I paid myself first. And lived off the same amount of money and kept that same discipline.
Explain paying yourself.
Paying yourself first. So let me give an example. When I got a job with the government, they also do this in the military. It's called the thrift savings plan.
Definitely.
It's the same thing as a 401k, right? And it's a tax benefit as well. It's for your retirement. So you can put so much money in, and then you claim it on your taxes as a write-off, right?
Right.
Well, I found out that I can max out $17,500 a month. I mean, a year, not a month. I'm sorry, a year.
Shout out to Miss Checks that's on the stream. All right, now, husband.
Boy,
Miss Checks is chiming in.
she looking at them numbers you quoting.
17,500 a year, right? So every year it went up. It went up to 18.5, 19.5, 25, and as I got promotions, living off of $30,000 a year, I was like, all right, I had a promotion to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and I kept putting it up. And then at the end of the year, all right, on taxes, on paper, because I was maxing it out, on paper, I was making below the poverty line. The poverty line was like $40,000 a year. So now I got a taxable, I got income coming in, but I'm saving it, putting it in this investment account, and then I also found out that I can put $5,500 a year into an IRA, which I can also deduct. So now I got $20-something thousand a year that I'm taking off my taxes. So now when I got to the point of making $60,000, $70,000 a year, I'm still below the poverty line and I'm not paying any taxes. That's what you call paying yourself.
Okay.
And after the 5-year period of putting that money in, when the stock market tanked, 2008, it was a time to get in. When the stock market goes low, you just buy. I learned you buy. And then when the stock market came back up, bam, here I am. I put in over $100,000. Stock market comes back up, I make another $50,000. With money that's working for me, that I don't have to pay taxes on. And then and when I came back, I was like, I know the next step it was to buy a home. That's another investment. Like people get money, and what do they want to do? They want to buy a car. You got a couple $100,000 in the bank. Oh man, I'm gonna go buy this, this Maserati. I'm gonna go buy this and that. No, don't buy nothing that depreciates. I'm still driving.
As soon as you drive that off the lot.
Yeah, it's not worth the same
thing. You're losing at least
thing.
10, 15, depending on how much you're spending on it.
Exactly.
You're losing at least 10, 15, 20, $30,000 off that vehicle as soon as you drive it off the lot, even if you pay for cash with it.
I still drive a 2006 Nissan Titan that I started my business with. I didn't buy a new car yet. The next car that I purchased for me was a 2008 Ford Focus that I was doing my business. A lady, she had a car. I was cleaning out the house. Had 40,000 miles on it. I was like, well, hey, it's a gas saver, whatever, me to get back and forth and all that stuff. I paid $2,000 for it. Cars are just to get you back and forth to where you need to be. And some people have it as a status symbol, like, look at me, look all this money I'm making. But I never did that. I actually, when I had my business, I had a full beard, hair growing out all over the place, wearing my old camouflage that I had in the military, and people were like clutching their purses because they thought I was gonna ask them for $1 because I look homeless. You know what I'm saying? But all I was concerned about was making $1, putting it away, and saving it, and not wasting money anymore because I did not want to be back in that same spot. And now I got enough money to where I can invest money, and once you get enough money, you can invest money and just sit there and let it work for you.
So my brother, you tell me that you never thought about that Mercedes or that Maserati.
Did I think about it? I remember when the Panorama came out, that Porsche came out, and I was like, when I get back, I'm coming back and I'm paying cash for a Porsche. I'm getting a Porsche. That's what I wanted.
Right.
But then I thought about it. I was like, well, I don't have a car note. I don't have this and that. And I'm just giving back. I'm shout out to my dad. He drove a Mazda RX-7 until it went into the ground, and it had like 350,000 miles on it.
Shout out to Mazdas. I know a man that restored one. I know a man that restored a Mazda. He on the show right now.
And I had it for 20 years. And just sold it 2 years ago.
Did you?
For sure.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I thought about it, but then I really was like got into investing and all that other stuff like that, and I was like, do I take $70,000 and buy a brand new Porsche, or do I take $70,000 and go buy a home, or do I put it in Apple or Amazon and different things?
So
like
what was your first investment?
My first investment.
And what led you to investing? Like somebody had to say, "Hey, investment is the thing." See, this is the thing. Nobody really teaches us a lot about. We hear about it, but this is something that really doesn't go on through the realms of certain communities where we're talked about investing. We hear about it on TV. It's not taught in the household.
Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that Porsche resonated in your soul. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you was over there, you probably had a picture up on your wall, with all the dust from the sand around it or whatever. And you actually said,
I actually paid cash for a Harley Davidson Road Glide. No lie. I actually paid cash and was about to get it delivered. But when I got back to the States from Afghanistan, I was renting a room from one of my friends from the Marine Corps, Ken Thomas. Shout out to Ken. Thank you for giving me a place to stay when I got back. But I said, where am I going to put this motorcycle? I don't even have a house. I'm going to pay cash for a $20,000 motorcycle to go enjoy, and I got to pay to put it in storage, $200 a month. I don't even have a home yet. So I returned that, got my cash back, and I said, I'm going to search for a home. And I invested in a home and then that was another thing that I found out about. Like, I put all this money in my TSP, first time home.
Whoa. What the hell is a TSP?
See, he's speaking so fast.
Thrift savings plan. It's the same thing as a 401k with working for a company. It's just in the government.
Explain that for us, though. Break it down.
So, is basically you giving the government money or your company that you work for money, and they match a certain amount of savings. I've heard people say, "Hey, they match 2.5%, the first 2.5%." I know people that they match 100%. So if you put in $18,000, and they say, "Hey, we're going to match 100%," it would behoove you to go ahead and put in that amount of money if you can, because they're going to match it. You getting double the money. They paying you, and that's an incentive. That's a good company to stay with. And they take that money kind of like a mutual fund, and they invest it. You trust them to invest it into different companies, and when they put it in the stock market, you make money, they make money,
So if you don't work for a company that does this,
you can do this yourself.
So you can have essentially a quote unquote 401k for yourself, even if you don't work for a company that offers a 401k. So
you can go to any company that a brokerage and open up a brokerage account and talk to Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs. It's TD Ameritrade. Robinhood is a very popular app right now. I don't know if they have a full, but I know like Charles Schwab and all these big companies, and they have actual. You can call them like, hey, I want to open a brokerage account, and be like, hey, I want to do a 401k or I want to do this type of account. They'll set it up for you, and you put the money in. Even if you don't have the knowledge to go into the stock market, you can give them the money and say, hey, I want to start this type of account. That's why I learned about different investments through USAA. USAA had the different investments. I went through my bank. You can basically go to your bank and say, hey, I want to invest. And they'll point you in the right direction. You just have to ask.
All right, let me go ahead and one of the comments on the stream, once again, is Miss Checks. Miss Money.
Miss Money.
The important part is to prioritize, get financially comfortable, then you want a Porsche or a Maserati. Go for it as long as it is in reach. set yourself up for success. There is nothing wrong with buying nice, expensive things.
Sounds like Miss Chex want nice, expensive.
Sound like yeah.
And my sister right there, you better get it for her.
She
You
like,
better
oh,
get it for
so
her.
your name is Chex, huh? I guess I'll give Mr. Chex a chance.
Well, you know, and it's right. Once you get to a certain, you have a goal and have a budget and you have a plan, you can say, hey, I've reached this stat and I want to treat myself.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with buying that stuff, but knowing the ins and outs of it. So say, hey, let's say you want that Porsche. Don't go pay cash for it. Because I know in Texas, you can open up a business, have an LLC. Once you have it for 2 years, you can go lease a Porsche, and then it's 100% write-off on your taxes, on your business.
Wow. Wow. Say that one more time. Say that one more time. For the people in the back.
100% write-off. If you have a business established for 2 years in Texas, it's 100% write-off on a lease for your business.
So now, so all this right now that we're hearing, darling, this just sounds to me that if only we had a platform, if only there was a platform where we could tune in every week and listen to the advice of a gentleman like this.
If only somebody is providing this type of information.
That we could have this knowledge.
Yes. But wait. Chex.
So
Would you happen to be offering that type of service on Yale Entertainment and RTV?
If anybody is willing to listen, I preach to people on and on about stuff all the time. And if they want it, we're doing a actual podcast called Financially Speaking. Here on Yale Radio, on RTV, to where you can get any information that you want, or you can ask a question. Hey, I want to know about this. Hey, can I do this? We can do the research, look it up, and talk about it on the show.
And hey, guess what? That is going to be coming soon, Yale Radiocast, and it is coming soon, but we have him actually on today's show on the mail review.
Right.
So if you have any questions for Chex,
hey,
please call in 678-586-9241. We're going to be taking phone calls. We do also not only want to talk about this show that Chex has coming up of Financially Speaking, but we also, again, going back to, we do have, yes, he's a 2-year.
He's his second visit. His second
visit.
He's a vet.
He's a vet now.
He's a vet
But
now.
we do have the CEO of Accountable Youth in the building, Mr. Billy D.
Yo.
How have you been since the last time you've been on the show, my man?
Blessed and highly favored, brother. Yeah. Thanks for having me back, yo. Thanks for having me back.
Glad to have you here, my
for
man.
sure.
So what's been going on in the last year or so, almost a year now that we've had you on the show, as far as Accountable Youth has been going? What kind of progression have you been able to make with that, and where you at now?
Everything. I think I was saying like what, July.
July.
Yeah,
Yes.
almost. Wow. So things just like exploded, right? So like I believe the last time I was here, I had a meeting with the chief of police, right? So to give y'all a backstory, in July, of course, if anybody wasn't living under a rock, we were dealing with a lot of Black Lives Matters protests, and it was on the end of George Floyd being murdered on May 25th, right? And then I think when I came here, we were dealing with Rashard Brooks,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so I came like maybe a week or two after that, and the country was in a really bad space as far as like racial relations. So my organization, we sat down, and because we have these pillars where one is about mentorship and the other is about police interactions with black people and at-risk youth, I felt like our organization needed to like do something for our city. So I was able to get a meeting with the chief of police in Greensboro, as well as the chief of police in High Point, North Carolina. And at that time, we were, I think on the last show we were talking about I think on the last show we were talking about the police reform bill, right? And so that was the whole 8 can't wait, and there's 8 things in that police reform bill that the country wanted for better relations between black communities and police officers.
Right.
So I went into these chiefs' offices with the 8 can't wait, right? And I was like, yo, like, what are we doing? What are y'all doing? You know, do you have these things already in place?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Or like, are you against it? How do you feel about this one? We went 1 through 8 with both chiefs, and I just asked them, like, how do you feel about banning the chokehold? How do you feel about no knock warrants? How do you feel about, you know, and like we had a real conversation, right? But I mean, we all know that we can have a conversation behind doors, but what really matters is transparency between the community and the law enforcement.
Right.
So after we had that conversation, the conversation went extremely well with both offices. But then I had to ask the question, so how about we do a town hall? Online, let me ask you these questions. And so you have an opportunity to talk to your people that you protect and that you serve.
Right.
And tell them,
Let
like,
them see.
right. Because, like, nothing can be done and there is no trust established until there's transparency. Right?
Correct.
So I just wanted to sit with them first, have a conversation, and then say, yo, can I get you on a camera, on a Zoom call, live on Facebook, and say, like, this is what we're doing to make sure that the next Breonna Taylor, the next George Floyd, the next Rashard Brooks is not in our city. And they did it. They did it. It went extremely well. Before I knew it, we had news coverage that I was unaware about. Somebody called me up like, yo, you made the news. That's what's up.
Okay.
Because
so you got the links to these? Can we find these links someplace?
They're at accountable.youth.org. Yeah, they're on accountable.youth.org. And we also have a YouTube page, it's Accountable Youth as well, where you got the entire hour. And we're asking them everything from police brutality. Because what I didn't know, and I think I don't know how it is across the country, right? Because every department is its own entity, right? But what I realized is that police chiefs have the ability to write policy, right? So, like, we can talk about this police reform bill all we want to, right? But what do we know? Like, the Senate and the Congress at that time, because it was another administration, were not working together. You know, they couldn't. We had the government shut down, all these other things. So I know we're not going to be able to pass something as important as a police reform bill. But what I didn't know until I walked into their offices is that a police chief can write his own policy. So we don't have to wait. You don't.
Can you break that down, my brother?
So
I mean,
that means this, right? What that means is this. That means we don't have to wait for the Congress and for the Senate or for the House to pass a bill to say you are no longer allowed to choke black people to death, police. You don't have to wait on that. Right?
So are you basically kind of saying right now that maybe we need to, as a community, be more focused on our local officials that are elected?
Absolutely.
Right? Because those are the ones that makes the laws that really truly affect us in our community.
Well, we've already mentioned this on the previous show that we did clarify that the people that we do need to address and reach out to and run to these polls and discuss it are the people that we're putting in these positions, in these chairs, correct?
Correct, but we did not point out the idea or the conception that police chiefs make their own policy.
That we
did not know that.
That we did not know at the time.
And look, in July I didn't either. It took me having to go and have a conversation with them and doing research on my own. And when I found out, like, okay, so you can write a policy that says your police officers are not allowed to choke people or shoot at moving vehicles or do no-knock warrants.
Wow.
Or make sure that your other officers have a duty to intervene when they see something that's not right.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have to wait. And so that was something that I felt was extremely important. And that was also something that I felt like on that town hall and on that platform needed to be addressed. Not just to inform the people in my city, but to inform people like Atlanta and other cities that are facing the same issues that, you know, are rampant across the country.
Wow.
Right?
Question. Okay, so we've already clarified that part and we've discussed the voting the right people in office, right?
Yeah.
Within the past week, we've had some things rise up here in Georgia about the voter suppression laws that have been put in place. What do you feel about that situation right there?
So that was
Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead, my brother.
Well, no,
You remember this
because I'm flowing, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm flowing. Because like the next thing that I did was once that town hall received the acclaim that it did, I was able to put a call into the mayor's office. And when I called the mayor, I said, "Hey, I'm Billy D. Williams. I run this organization in your city. I just had your police chief on a town hall talking about policy. This was September when I had the one with the police officers. So when October came, it was time to vote, right? The voting was November 4th. So I told the mayor, or I told her office that what we just did was epic. And with voting coming up soon, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to jump on a town hall with us as well to talk about voter suppression. Talk about, what are we voting for? Not just the president, right? But the things that, we got to look. There's other things that you vote on outside of just the president, the senator, the this, the that, right? So she agreed. And we had another town hall in October, and we took that opportunity to talk about some of the things that can affect voter suppression, because everybody was afraid mail-in votes and voter fraud and Trump and Biden and Kamala and all of these things that we were going through, and we were able to address all of those things. And I also had the police chief on that call too, because I wanted to make sure that people were protected when they went to polls. We are in the South. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was extremely important to have that conversation. Now, as far as Georgia goes, you know what I'm saying? So what exactly happened?
So I'll chime in here real quick because I've been following this kind of closely. So basically, there was a bill that was passed that a lot of folks feel is going to suppress the vote. Okay, and I can see, given the statistics, where that could be felt that it is. Okay, so basically, in Georgia, prior to the pandemic, prior to COVID, okay, mail-in voting was literally just that. You mailed it in. Okay, there were no ballot boxes. You couldn't just go up and drop your mail-in ballot in a box. They didn't exist.
Okay.
They didn't have to exist. How about that? Okay, not that they didn't exist, but they didn't have to exist. So the pandemic broke out, and basically counties said, okay, well, a lot of folks may not feel safe to come out in the public, stand in line, go and vote, da-da-da-da. Okay, so we're going to bring in these ballot boxes where you can take your mail-in ballot, your mail-in ballot, and drop it in that box.
Right.
Well, because of this pandemic, we're going to make a special situation for it, okay, under a specific law, under this specific pandemic, okay?
Right.
So once this specific pandemic goes away, those specific laws go away, okay? So one that was brought up in particular was Fulton County, because it's one of the biggest counties in Atlanta, okay?
Right.
There were, under the provision for the pandemic, there were 38 voter boxes that had to be made available, okay? Now, it was never a law prior to that any of these ballot boxes had to be available. Okay? This law, or this bill that was signed in, says that Fulton County in particular has to have at least 8 ballot boxes available for mail-in ballots or early ballots. So, before the pandemic, they didn't have to make these ballot boxes available. The pandemic struck out. They said, okay, 38 of these are going to be involved. They learned from that and said, okay, now it's law that at least 8 of these ballot boxes have to be made available. Okay. Also, prior to the pandemic, your early voting was restricted from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Right.
Okay. It was Monday through Friday for early voting. It was 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or no, the verbiage was business hours. there were no specific time frames put into place. Okay, it was within
that's implied.
within business hours. It's implied, but could be left up to
that business.
To that business. Okay, so
by business, what do you mean that business?
Well, some businesses don't open at 9 o'clock. Some businesses open at 8 o'clock.
So let me ask.
Let's use example of school. A school. That's a lot of voting booths are at school.
Okay, so these actual boxes were at businesses, and so to the business.
So not even the boxes, but the voting hours. Okay, it was left up to the discretion of normal quote unquote business hours.
Yeah.
Okay, which in layman's term, me and you may agree that that's 9 to 5. Okay.
Okay.
But if most of these early voting locations are schools, right? What time does your child get on the bus?
6, 7.
And what time are they in school?
8, somewhere around.
So if that school's open at 8 something or other,
or better yet, if we're saying that we had to vote between these hours of whatever till 5 o'clock, you're at work, right? Okay, so you don't even get off work till 4:30, 5. How do you get to the polls?
Fair.
Right, and basically a school can technically be open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
Let's say logistically. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's kind of some vagueness in there.
Okay.
Okay. When they're saying business hours, there's a little bit of there's a lot of vagueness.
Right.
So this new bill says it's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, each county can decide to sit there and say that it can be the early voting, okay? And we're not talking about when voting opens just before the election. We're talking about early voting. Can be from, based upon the county, has the choice to say that it can start at 7 a.m. and continue to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And that's based upon the county.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, hours, time frames were never put into the picture prior to this bill.
Okay.
So
it's been a lot of.
So here's my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who do you think they are trying to? Who's the object, or who's the target on this when they actually are doing this? Is it working people? Is it old people? Is it?
Well, they have a lot of things in place. I'll say this because they can't say yes. This is a bill that is exclusively targeting black people.
Right.
Nor
would they ever.
They are
so let's keep it a buck.
They are wise about that.
Right.
Which is what it is.
Yeah.
But the things that are in place,
separate but equal, right?
Primarily affects the black community.
How so?
When you're saying that the absentee balloting.
Okay.
The absentee balloting has some things in place where. What are some of the absentee balloting rules that's in place, Josh? I do know that you have to put certain things. You have to present.
That was reducing. That basically the only thing with absentee balloting that this bill does is it. People are saying yes, it does reduce. Okay, from 38 from last year's election down to a minimum of 8, but it's a minimum of 8.
Right.
So these numbers. So the biggest thing is that I don't think a lot of people are understanding is that there were not numbers and specifics put into place previously. So what this bill does is a lot of people are upset about it, but it actually kind of makes the government have to abide by certain things. Whereas before, it was completely up to their perception.
I know, because I remember, I think it was in Houston, right? During the election, where they limited their they had mail-in ballots, right? Or they had the boxes that you're talking about, right? And this was definitely voter suppression, right? Where they only had a limited amount of boxes, you know what I mean? And then they put them in areas far away from older people.
They're doing things like that as well. They're minimizing.
They will put them in the suburbs where black people didn't live. And then, and that was just making it harder. You know what I mean? So, like, that's definitely a example of voter suppression. And they actually executed that. I want to say Houston, but don't quote me on that. And that was an issue. So I don't exactly know. And I've heard about, I was made aware of some stuff that was going on in Georgia, but I wasn't exactly sure, like, how that suppression
came
to be.
It's just it's a list of things. I could pull it up in a little bit, and we could discuss what all the things are. But it does make it difficult for the people who are financially struggling to get to the polls. People who are having health issues. Now you must go through a list of things to prove you have these health issues before you can even submit a absentee ballot. That most of us, look, we just have health issues and we just gonna mail it in. Now you got to go through this litany of things to prove you have this health issue to have the allowance to present an absentee ballot.
But let's talk about the system for a second, right? Because what I've learned is I'm becoming somewhat of a historian, right? I'm just diving deep as I go on this path. And there was so let's go all the way back. And I'm gonna explain to you how things don't move much, right? So black folks slaves were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, right? It's 1865.
Allegedly.
Right, I said allegedly. 1865, right?
Right.
So bust it. 1870, that was the 15th Amendment. That gave black people, slaves, the right to vote, right? So what did they do then? For the longest time, I believe 95 years, there were still things in place that stopped black people from being able to vote. So like, you're freed 5 years ago, and now you're allowed to vote, right? So then when you go to the polls, they say, here's a literacy test. Can you read? Let's be real. 5 years ago, if you knew how to read, you would have been hung. You would have been lynched, right? That's voter suppression, right? Or do you own property, sir? You know, if you don't own property, they would say, oh, they turn you around, right? And because we weren't educated as a people, we just got our rights. We didn't know what was and was not true. But these were strategies that were used all throughout the South, Atlanta included, North Carolina included, right? So then civil rights comes, right? Now we're in the 60s, right? Like 90 years later. And now we're in this space where enough is enough, you know, and we're marching. You have your Martin Luther King, who he was killed. The anniversary of his death is tomorrow. So it's extremely dope that we're even having this conversation right now, right? So he died for this, right? And we're in Atlanta. We're in Atlanta the day before MLK's death, talking about voter suppression, right? And he died, 58 years ago?
Right.
Tomorrow or something like that?
Yeah.
Why are we still having this conversation? Right? But let's not get too far off the mark, right? So then Kennedy comes. Kennedy's acting as though he cares for black folks. You know, he's meeting with, you know, some of the leaders, and then, you know, what happens to him happens. He's assassinated. That brings in LBJ. LBJ has to continue down the path of the civil rights movement that was already in place. He cannot stop that train from coming with everything that we've seen thus far. So what does he do? In 1965, 95 years after we get the bill that says we're allowed to vote, he signs into the Voting Rights Act. And I might not have said it correctly, right? But what is that? That's put in place to say, stop messing with black folks when they come to these polls, right? And not only that, it's mandated by the president. What does that mean? That makes it federal. What does federal mean? That means every state has to abide, because all of these states was doing whatever they needed and wanted to do to keep black folks out of the poll box. You know what I'm saying? So, right, here we are, it's 1965. Now that's in place. No more literacy tests. No more do you own property. No more grandfather clauses. No more any of this stuff, right? But bust it. Now here we are in 2020, voting, right? Trying to get Trump out, trying to keep Trump in, whatever your stance is, that's what you're trying to do, right?
Right.
And what do you see? You see governors in Houston. You see governors in different states, because they've given the power back to the states. They set us back 200 years. You understand? Like 150 years. So like, what happened to that Voting Rights Act in which we were said you can no longer mess with black folks state to state?
Yes.
They gave the power back to the states to do whatever they wanted to do. They used the pandemic to set us back as far as our voting rights is concerned. You know what I'm saying? So like, what needs to happen is true laws to be enforced and stop letting you know what I'm saying? Because like when you give the power back to the states, and that's what happened with the pandemic, right? Like Cuomo is in New York saying New York is going to do this, and then Trump is in daggone DC saying no, New York is going to do what I tell you to. And what did Cuomo say? I abide by the Constitution, and the Constitution says you cannot come in here and tell me what to do. I run my own state, and that's where we are, right? So what has to happen is there has to be federal laws passed, and they have to be stuck to. The problem that we're seeing now is that those amendments, or like an executive order that says, let's change this up right quick, you know what I'm saying, to suppress the vote. So like we're going to keep on facing it until something is actually federally mandated, and then it's actually enforced. That's it.
I see everything kind of flip-flopping. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest with you. There are some federal laws or some federal progress that needs to happen. There's also a lot of local progress that needs to happen. Like you just said, my brother. You're talking about the police chief. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this. Why do you think that they try to keep that a secret? That they can mandate policy. That they can implement policy. That they can say, okay, you know what? We ain't going to choke out people.
Right.
My group that I'm controlling right here, we're not gonna choke out people no more. Think about it. That is an easy thing to say. We're not gonna choke the hell out of people that are handcuffed.
It's easy to say, but it's hard to write for some people.
It's not hard to write. They don't want to write it.
Exactly.
It ain't hard to write.
Exactly. But you would like to think that it must be hard to write.
We still write in cursive.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, Billy.
Yes,
let
sir.
me ask you, brother. As far as your meeting with these people, with the police chiefs or whatever, I've seen a lot of detail, but I didn't see that. I really didn't see that. Them talking about the policy and everything. So if y'all need to see that stuff, let them know exactly where to look at that stuff. And I would say from that, just as far as your litness, your interaction with them, did you think that was a difficult thing for them to come across so transparent? Did you think that they came completely transparent, or do you think that there's a lot of things that was left on the table?
I'll keep it a buck, man. After the town hall, after the government town hall and the policing town hall, we, like Atlanta, saw a lot of we saw an uptick in black on black crime, violent crime. Right. And for me and my team, we were like, okay, voting is done. It's November. Let's go on ahead and like enjoy the holiday, you know, and chill. And but with the holidays came violence, right? New Year's, and then 2021 came in, and when that happened, I received a call or a DM from a OG in my city, and he was just trying to show love and said that he saw what I was doing and he respected it. But then he was also like, yo, I got somebody I want you to holler at. And come to find out, it was a news anchor at one of the local news channels in our city. And he's a young brother, a really good brother, and he's trying to make his bones in that business. And he wanted to sit and have a conversation with me, but he wanted to like highlight what Accountable Youth had been doing. And so I gave him a rundown, and then I also I pointed him to our page and told him, he saw the town halls and all that. And then when he took that back to the news, he said that they wanted to make it bigger. And I was like, all right, cool. So what we did, and this was recent, he was like, well, I see that you've had the chief on a couple of your calls on your town halls. Do you think you can get the chief to come and do this? I'm like, yeah, and he had to connect with the sheriff. So I said, okay, well, look, I work my angle, you work yours, and let's figure it out. So he was able to get the chief, or I was able to get the chief, and he was able to get the sheriff, and then I was able to lock down the venue, the International Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro, famous Woolworths where the Greensboro sitting took place. Shout out to the Greensboro for North Carolina A&T. And we were able to have a conversation in front of cameras with the sheriff and with the chief of police and talk about violence and talk about transparency and talk about police brutality, but also talk about the violence in the black community and what we have to do as a people to stop the violence in our community, right? Because and I told and for the sake of this conversation, to answer your question, it was extremely easy for me to get transparency, and they were very anxious, or not anxious, but excited to actually have the conversation and give their stances. Now, what I will say about our sheriff and our chief is they're both black men from that city, right? So they have a vested interest that goes beyond the suit that they put on every day, right? They want to see it stopped as well, not only as law enforcement agents, but as black men in general, right? Right. So we were able to have it, and we were hoping to influence our community. And for me, when it came to that, it was more of a, I believe black folks everywhere, especially in the South. And I told the cops, I told both the sheriff and the chief, like, we don't want you in our neighborhood, like on TV to their faces. But not because we don't want them there because they're disliked. We should be able, like, it's a known thing. Like, we don't want cops in our neighborhood. Like, we don't want to talk to the cops. We don't want to see the police. We believe in no snitching. So guess what? So for me, it was just a matter of, if that's how we feel, but we don't want to see the violence, we also have to police ourselves.
Yeah.
So like, I still
that's a good point. So thank you, Billy D.
No doubt.
We appreciate you. We're gonna get more into what you're talking about, how we can police ourselves, okay? How the communities can police themselves, how we can change this narrative, okay, so that people don't see the community the way that they see it, right? We're also gonna get more in with Chex here a little bit too about how we can, financially speaking, better the community as well.
For sure.
All right, but we're gonna take a quick little break and we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Hey, it's your girl, Kay Chantel, your favorite one from Women in the Mic. I have a question. Do you own your own business and need advertising? Do you provide a service and want to increase your clientele? Well, bring your advertising needs to Yale, Radiocast.com. We are on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and iHeartRadio. We offer graphic design, web design, and video services. So, not only can you grow your business with Yale Radiocast, you can also listen to the hottest independent artists. Go to YaleRadiocast.com and get with the gold standard.
It's your boy Young Nino checking in, man.
What's going on? This your boy Ether.
This presidential worthy, vote for me. Rap Analytics, man. We up in here.
Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. on YaleRadiocast.com.
You want your perspective, we're gonna give you ours.
Man, if you into this hip-hop culture, we got all the information you need.
We're gonna be breaking down everything from old school to new school, battle rap, fashion.
Anything that has to revolve around hip-hop, we're gonna bring it to you from today's perspective for what's popping in the news right now. Hip-hop, rap analytics go hand in hand.
Rap Analytics, YaleRadiocast.com, baby, we live.
Hey, it's your girl Tiki. Please be sure to check out Women in Mic. We discuss a little bit of everything from men that ain't to women that do anything for a piece of.
Let's get deep about this. What if your girlfriend is the type of chick that every dude she dated give her body to, she claims that's her man, when he claims it's just a situation?
Boy, that 350. That's the wrong, baby. So what he do? Hold on, baby. Let me get this loose chain out the car. He ain't gonna hit you with, here you go, baby girl. She gonna still be calling him Mr. Clifford. I gave her the 23.
But yeah, check us out Saturday from 11 to 1 and Wednesday from 7 to 9. Tune in to Women in the Mic.
Yale Radiocast, now on Pandora Radio.
Welcome back to the Male Review on Yale Radiocast. This is your boy Josh, the intern. We are coming back live. Thank you for staying with us. Please, again, if you would like to call in to speak to either Chex or Billy D from Accountable Youth, please call in 678-586-9241. Alright, so we coming back in. We're going to keep back to Billy D.
Sure.
He was speaking with us on a little bit of something. You with us?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, so I think we're talking about the news interview.
Yes, sir.
And we spoke about police in our own neighborhoods in that conversation. We also talked about police brutality, what would be tolerated, what would not be tolerated. And we were 3 black men on the panel and 4 black men if you include the gentleman who was actually giving the interview. And we were really just trying to address the problem with black on black crime, especially in Greensboro, because it's actually, I think we hit a new record this year with like murders and shootings and all that stuff in our city. So we were just trying to address all these issues, get out in front of them, and also put something out to the public to show we want change, right?
So what have you seen as progress from this? Since you've had this town hall, since you've had this sit down conversation with the chief of police, since you've had all this, what progress have you seen since you've been able to have this?
The only progress that we've seen is our organization has been able to get more transparency from our police department, right? And I'm not by any means giving myself a pat on the back or anything like that, but up until that point, and as I look through other cities, like I have not been able to see sheriffs and police chiefs sit on the panel and be as transparent as our chief and our sheriff were, you know. And I believe the main thing that we have to address is just the fact that there are people who care and there are people who don't care, right? And everybody acts like they do, right? So in Greensboro, what I was trying to show with all of the from the town hall with the mayor to the news interview with the sheriff and the chief, I was trying to show the black community that if you want change, now is the time to execute it, right? Because we are in a space where you have the ability to do it because there are people in positions who are willing, right? So it's like when you're talking about here in Georgia, right? And I seen the elected official who was trying to knock on the door here in Georgia, while the governor was signing.
The secretary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I saw that on the news and it bothered me, right? You know, and he's in his office signing legislation
without due process
or whatever that might be, right? But the problem was
she should have known about that. So what you're bringing up, okay?
I'm bringing up. I'm standing.
Is that right? No, I know. Yeah. But what you're talking about though right now is that if those people listening right now don't know anything about what Billy D is bringing up right now, is that there is a secretary that is involved in taking notes for all of these bill signings, for all of these things that take place, and when this particular bill that was just recently passed here in Georgia for voting, that has a lot to do with voting, was put into place.
Her name is Park Cannon.
Park Cannon.
Shout out to Park Cannon.
Shout out to Park Cannon. She was not informed within proper due process of when she should have been informed, so she could have been there to take notes and take the minutes for the signing of this bill. And when she showed up to the mayor's mansion, where this was being
the
signed.
Governor
Mansion, where it was being signed behind closed doors. She asked, where should I go in to take notes for? Because this is what I am elected by the public to do.
Right.
This is my job. I'm supposed to be here. I have the credentials to be here. But instead, she was met by GSP, Georgia State Patrol, and dragged by her arm away from the governor's mansion when she was trying to do her job.
Right.
So,
and that's what I'm getting at, right? Because even with is from government to community, right? What we have been trying to do, Accountable Youth, since the BLM movement with George Floyd, to voting with Trump, to, even what we just did on the news in Greensboro, right now it's just been a focus of transparency. We are trying to force transparency from government to the community, right? That's all we want right now, right?
Yeah.
So like when I saw that in Georgia, that was a problem, right? Because when you don't have transparency, there is no trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that we've been trying to do, is just be as transparent as we possibly can be, right? And then once you achieve transparency, right, you have a foundational trust that you can build upon, right? And then once you have that foundational trust that you can build upon,
now let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Billy. So, in order to be in these positions to make these changes, right? These people have to have had at some point some sort of financial understanding, right? Because do not our finances kind of put us in certain areas where we can be on certain levels?
Definitely. I worked for the 2020 census here last year, and one of the main things that people don't understand, every 10 years the census comes out, and it's just as important to do the census as it is to vote, because we're under this electoral state process where we have electoral votes. Like, people are just like, man, what is an electoral vote? And what's it? Well, that's where the electoral vote comes from.
So what is an electoral vote?
Electoral vote is, so due to the population, we get more electoral votes, a higher number of votes. So say like California, I don't know what the exact number is.
So it's a population, it's not necessarily a population, but is it more of like the registered voters?
So registered voters, you don't even have to be a registered voter.
Okay, you don't have to be a registered voter.
No,
okay.
You don't even, when you go there, they're just counting people. So if they come to your house and you have 20 people in your house and
they're not just scheming.
No, they're not scared. So they're counting, like most people. So like with this whole immigration thing and all that stuff that's happening, especially Hispanic people in this country, they were scared to open their doors when they see somebody with a government ID that's not the same race as them, thinking that they're going to be, if you count the people, if I got my cousin that stays in the back, they're going to deport him, or it's going to be something like that. Or black people, and they was like, well, I got a warrant, and they might be coming knocking on my door to serve and take me away. It's fearful, and it's a whole thing that has been passed down to us all the way. Let's go back to that history point when we were able to vote, when we were given the right to vote. We actually wasn't even given counted as a whole person. We were counted as 3/5 of a person.
Pretty sure it's still on the books too.
Yeah. You can look it up. You can Google it.
It's still there.
Yeah, right. So
it's still there.
So basically, what it is, if you get counted, you have more power in your voting. Like, most people are like, well, hey, my vote doesn't count anyway. Well, if you do the census, your vote counts even more. It's more powerful. Because now you have more electoral votes in this area where you are. You're not getting counted. Your vote doesn't count because you're not doing the census. They're not counting you as a person. You know what I'm saying? Because you're counting yourself out. Now you have the right to be counted as a person. And you're like, when they knock on your door, I'm not doing it. Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want them in my business. Oh, they think that the census is connected to something with the law or the IRS or something like that. Like, no, I don't want them to count on or know it here or how much money I make because they're going to come after me. The census is not connected to any other federal agency at all. It's an independent thing, and that they just count people and they send it to the president, and the president looks at the numbers. All right, hey,
and there we go.
And there we go. And then your electoral vote is changed according to the population, and also for each kid that's in your house, you get $15,000 per kid going to that community.
Wow.
It goes, and you're saying we don't have the resources. Well, the census, when they count that's where you get the numbers from to actually provide money to go to, like, they just passed this $1 trillion bill, right?
Right.
Well, according to your population that counts from the census, that's how the money is divided into your schools, to your public transportation, to your roads, to, anything, and your school programs, everything that you need in that community. That's where that money comes from. So now you have this $1 trillion package, $2 trillion package that's coming out, and you still might not get the money because you didn't do the census.
Right.
How's your kid gonna actually survive or get the same tools that they need to actually survive in this type of environment if you're not counting yourself or counting your kid?
Right. You
know what I'm saying? Now you saying, oh, we don't have school funding. Well, you don't have school funding because you didn't do the census.
Right.
You don't count you know what I'm saying? You got you what if you would have counted all these kids, the people that didn't do the census, and you might I'm just throwing a number out there. 5,000 kids wasn't counted. What's $5,000 5,000 times 15,000 per kid that you would have got sent to your community because you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Because you filled out the paperwork.
Right.
That's what you got to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're complaining about stuff, but we don't actually know the process on how to overcome where we're at.
Right. And that being said, I will interject with this because me and Brother Billy have been going through this war for a minute now, as far as accountable youth goes. And like Brother Check said, accountable, just to account for something or whatever. And I will ask you, Billy, and I will swing to you with this. How do you feel like accountable youth is doing? How do you feel like it's impacting the community? How do you feel like the community is actually responding to accountable youth? Do you feel like that we're all where we need to be? And I know what your answer's going to be, my brother. So all I can say is kind of expand upon that as far as our frustrations of what we were talking about.
All right, before we get to Billy, shout out to Miss Checks.
Miss Checks. Miss Checks, she's on it, man.
She's on it. She is on it.
Miss Checks, go ahead and subscribe. Be an honorary member of the Half Leg.
Because we are gender neutral in 2021. Anyways,
you better be.
Electoral votes are allocated amongst the states based on the census. Every state is allocated a number of votes equal to the number of senators and representatives in the U.S. congressional delegation.
Absolutely.
2 votes for it is senators in the U.S. Senate plus a number of votes equal to the number of congressional districts.
That's my sister.
Hold on. Hold on. She cooking.
Let her cook. Apportionment is the process of dividing the 435 memberships or seats in the House of Representatives among the 50 states. The Census Bureau conducts the census at 10-year intervals. At the conclusion of each census, the results are used to calculate the number of House memberships to which each state is entitled.
Right.
I love it.
Right. I would have to say that qualifies my sister,
Google
Mrs. Checks, to be smarter than Mr. Checks.
As if there was
Am I wrong about that?
I think we need a Mr. and Mrs. Checks show.
But Mr. Billy, that swings us to you, what I was saying. How do you feel about the impact? How do you feel about the response?
You said that off
How
mic.
do you feel about where you're at and what do you need?
I have to pick up where Chex left off.
Please do.
Right?
Go ahead.
Trump ended the census early and didn't let anybody know.
Yeah.
Right?
He ain't tell nobody.
So that in itself, that goes back to my point, right? We're talking about transparency.
Right.
So like what Accountable Youth has been trying to do over the past 6 months is provide this hub of transparency, right? Because you got everybody out here talking about the change that they want, the change that we need, right?
Right.
By voting Trump out, and I mean, like we're still a country very much divided, right? But be that as it may, it starts with transparency from your government to your community. So what AY has been doing is trying to influence transparency, right? So we can at least be an example to other black cities or to other governments or to other, local law enforcement, to their people, right? So when we do a proper policing town hall, that's to show the people these are your public officials. These are your police officers that are making the policy for the police that you see that are pulling you over, that are in your neighborhood, that are arresting you when you do something wrong, right? That's transparency. You know what I'm saying? When we get the mayor on a town hall, we're asking her questions about what are you going to do to make sure that there's no voter suppression. That's transparency. And when we have the chief of police on that town hall with her, that's us saying, okay, are you two on the same page, right? Because they work together. The chief answers to the council.
Right.
The mayor is part of the council. That's your local government. But that also shines a light on, and this was in a time when, because like, let's keep it a buck, a lot of people don't even know that mayors, you don't vote for your mayor when you vote for the president, right? That's a whole different election. That's a local election.
Right.
And that's what affects you the most.
Right.
Right. And like, so I know in North Carolina, we vote for our mayor this year, 2021. We voted for the president in 2020. Right. So now it's time for everybody to start focusing on what do you need in your community? Who is the people that you're going to see day to day that's going to be able to pass laws, write laws, enforce laws that make your life better on a day to day, make your kids' life better on a day to day. And that speaks to what Chex is talking about when it comes to the census, right? The census is not just about a head count, or it's not to be in your business. They're not the welfare office from the 60s, you know what I'm saying? Where they trying to find out how many kids in the house because you live in a Section 8, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what all the memes had you think, though.
But exactly, right? Because that's a conditioning, right?
That's a conditioning by who, though?
By the government, dude.
All right, so
Go in there, and then also pass down.
Okay, so
generation to generation about.
Allow me to speak for the underprivileged citizen. You just admitted that the government is controlling this narrative. You're saying, hey, do this, which still embodies us and implants us into this governmental system. How can you ask me to believe this government system and structure that y'all just admitted are actually still creating the narrative of lesser for us?
Transparency,
educating.
See, so this is how that works, right? So like, cause look, it all comes back to transparency, right? No matter what you do, no matter how you chop it, no matter what you say, right? Like, the reason why you don't believe your government, or the reason why you don't trust your government, is because there's a lack of transparency there. The reason why you don't trust your spouse, the reason why you don't trust your kids, every relationship revolves around transparency.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So like, transparency is the cornerstone of trust. Trust then turns into a change if you are willing to go the extra mile to do the change. Now, the problem we have now is people say that they want it, people act like they want it. And so like, what I did, or what I was trying to do when we had the news interview, was I was trying to say, hey, my organization is able to sit down with local leaders, right? Everybody in the country is talking about how police suck and how the government's foul and how they suppressing our vote. Like, my organization was able to get local government officials and local law enforcement, the head, to sit with me me. Like I'm nobody, right? A person, and was able to sit there and talk about what are you doing to protect us? Where's your transparency? Right, and then what that in turn does is that in turn lets the people know that's watching on TV or that's watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching. That's able to tell them, like, look, I'm showing them that if we want true change, now is the moment to do it, because I'm able to get these people on a camera and say what they will and will not put up with.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
So it's all about starting that conversation.
Exactly. And
getting
then
that
you
conversation
execute.
going, and then continuing it.
And then you can execute.
And not giving up.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That being said, look, we have said it so many times on this forum, on this platform, that we are backers 100% when it comes to accountable youth. We don't understand why we don't have the support that we need to have, because you're yelling constantly about the platform that we're on, the era that we're on, the energy that we have. The energy that we have as a community comes from what? What?
If
people?
only.
Exactly.
It comes
exactly.
from if only.
Exactly.
It comes from if only.
Because the main people are saying if only we had accountable youth.
If only we
or
had
an idea of accountable youth.
Or a platform. If only somebody was doing something to spearhead
let me tell you something. This is a man that quit his job. That quit his job because he cared so much. He wanted to do so much.
Well,
he wanted to be so
job.
much.
I ain't quit my job.
Okay,
let's
so
Hey, you just changed your job. You just changed your job. You still quit it.
Is a temporary adjustment of life.
Okay, so
no. I can speak for myself.
I feel like you quit. Go ahead. I feel like you quit for the kids.
But I appreciate it because that makes it seem like the work that I'm doing is enough to make. No, bro, I got a family to take care of.
Right.
So check it out. Like I still work a 9 to 5 just like everybody else.
Okay.
I still
Right.
bust my ass at my job.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I still run my nonprofit that, me and my organization, we built from the ground up. We grassroots. We did everything on our own. I went to school.
Right.
And got me a business degree to stand up everything. I built the website. I filed all my papers. You know what I'm saying? I created the logo is me, my son, my nephews.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like everything is
So
homegrown.
everything's all you.
Everything is homegrown,
so
man.
now I'm gonna say this: if only there was a show that could potentially be streamed upon any kind of streaming channel, podcast, broadcast, anything kind of cast that you could have, okay, that would maybe give us an inkling.
This guy Josh, Stretch Armstrong arms, man.
So
yes.
Checks.
No, I got it. So I want to focus on something because we're talking about. You mentioned TR about how he quit his job, which is
he said he didn't, but he
said
put
he
so
didn't.
much effort behind his kids.
But we had this conversation earlier with Checks about him quitting his job, and that's pretty much where I stand right now with running Yale Entertainment, Yale Radiocast, and TR with RT.
Man, I just want to put something out there. My wife told me something.
Miss Checks, Miss Money.
Checks.
She told me something that stuck with me, that put a light bulb on my head. She said, "This is your baby." When I started the business, she said, "This is your baby. Nobody else is gonna take care of your baby the way that you do.
Poor us.
And you're gonna put all the effort in and put in all the extra work and do everything that you can to make sure that this baby succeeds,
flourishes, in your image."
And with the work ethic that I wanted to put in when I started a business and everything like that, that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know, that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to tell people, I wanted to show people that I could do it. If I could do it, you can do it.
Right.
Okay. So let's circle back to where you were speaking from earlier when you started.
Okay, so
you were sleeping on floors. You needed help getting to a certain point. You were not in the best position in your life.
You were eating oats, nigga.
You was eating oats, and everybody thought that you were eating healthy because you could only afford oranges and grapes.
But that's my perspective that I came from.
Right now,
you know what I'm saying? Half full, not half empty.
Right.
Everybody saw the happy me and this and that. Like if you didn't have, like most people when they was like, oh, I don't have no money. I'm at the bottom. I'm broke. I got all these bills and all that other stuff. They down. They're depressed. They're doing this. They're doing that. But I looked at it as a come up because I was on my way up. You know what I'm saying? And I pushed myself to say, hey, I'm going to get better. I'm going to do this. And I put all my effort into it. And I worked 2 jobs. Like I've done before, you know, going to school full time, working 2 jobs, blah, 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 like most people do. But I wanted to put my effort out there where, you know, because you will put effort out, but you're not getting any progress. Well, I wanted to put effort that produced progress. Like you can practice, but you won't be perfect. A coach told me, he was like, perfect practice makes perfect. Until you get the practice right, you're not going to get it right in the game. You know? So that's the part I kept critiquing myself to the point of, all right, I'm not going to go all in until that point. But so that, with that being said, I kept myself on the budget and got myself into position until I was financially able, because I couldn't get a loan. I had bad credit. So I paid it. I made a plan to pay everything off. I went to Afghanistan. I paid off all my bills. I came back. I had the money. I bought a house. I started a business. You know, I did this, I did that, and I found out the ins and the odds of what people were talking. I put myself in positions and conversations that we don't normally have with other people. I started listening to the...
Let me ask you this. With all this knowledge that you've gained, when do you feel, now that you have this knowledge, when do you feel that we should be implementing that into our children's lives? So that they don't have to repeat the same things that
when you
we...
start teaching them the ABCs. When you start teaching your kids ABCs, you start, you know, hey, start teaching them about money. What's this, a quarter? What's this, a penny? That's the foundation, because you can't teach a kid to read without learning your ABC.
Right. But we gotta educate. But we gotta educate ourselves first, though, right?
And everything is on Google. You know, most of the time I was in Afghanistan, and when I had downtime, I would Google something. It was a woman at the office that was on the hiring panel, and she's like, Shawn, if you don't know something, it's no excuse. Google it.
Question. Were you scared?
Scared. I was terrified. You can ask my wife. I was sitting up there, damn near, like, hey, what do you think I should do? I don't want to do it. Do I want to spend this money? Dude, it was like, Shawn, if this, you don't want to have no regrets.
Right.
If
so
you want to
sacrifice.
I sacrificed. I said, hey, all right, I'm going to do it, babe. Hey, I'm going to support you 100%. This is your dream. This is what you want to do. Go for it.
Right.
Because but that's the reason why I kept my job. Because if I failed.
Right. You still got something to fall back on.
I had something to fall back on.
Now, what do you have to give to the person who is scared to take that next step? Any advice to say somebody that's in your position right now who has a business that's flourishing from the financial standpoint of where you're at, who may be where you were 3, 4, 5 years ago at that scared point, and they don't know what to do to say, okay, I want to get over this threshold, or they don't even know how to get over that threshold. What advice do you have to give?
Right.
Ask questions. There's people around you. Don't be scared to sound stupid. There's no stupid question when it comes down to business. I learned. I took a little piece from everybody. I know 2 people in here, from Billy, and from you. You owned a business way before I did. That inspired me to own a business.
We ain't gotta talk about that. I got taxes.
You did this, you did that. It's like having friends around me that were doing other things.
I call it congregate with like-minded people.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, and it inspired me to do other things, and knowing that I was capable.
Right.
What was stopping me from doing it? The only thing that was stopping me was myself.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you just gotta have the more. It's just like when you go to the gym. What's stopping you from getting up in the morning and going to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
You wake up.
Right. Exactly. I would have to say, lunging off of that, Billy D, as far as these youth are concerned, and you got a whole title that says accountable youth. When we just talked about when does the kid become accountable financially? When does the kid become accountable as far as community consciousness of themselves? As much as to say that they're holding themselves accountable, or is there an age? Is there an idea of what you're trying to put forth when you see that kid?
I remember when AOI was like an idea, right? I think we might have been established, like we had our paperwork, but nothing, right?
Right.
I had an idea for an event, and I remember I talked to a woman who ran this nonprofit called High Point Community Against Violence.
Right.
Right. So I partnered with them because I found out that the best way to get your organization off the ground is to partner with other organizations.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, that was a jewel I picked up. So when I walked in, I had my paperwork. I was very proud, you know, and she was like, so what age groups are you trying to capture? And I was like, you know, 12 to 17.
Right.
And she was like, it's too late by then.
Wow.
Too late. You know what I'm
Wow.
That's crazy.
saying? For sure. But she wasn't wrong.
She's not.
She wasn't wrong. It was, and that made me have to go back to the drawing board, right? Because in my head, when I was on y'all show before, I told y'all the reason why I started Accountable Youth, and it was because of the Africa Bambaataa scandal.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And seeing those grown men who were, you know, allegedly, you know, abused by him.
Right.
And I'm a hip hop head, so you know, the state of hip hop with, you know, Young Thug with a dress on and all that stuff. Like
we're trying to create a narrative.
Yeah. I was like, you know, I wanted to double down on, you know, masculinity, not toxic masculinity,
right?
But masculinity nonetheless,
right.
But also something that protects kids, right? And for her to sit here and tell me that, like, if I'm waiting until they're 12, that's way too late. So what does that mean, right? What that means is
that's scary.
It's scary, right? But it's because even with, like, I have a 2-year-old, right? And with my 2-year-old, they told us as we were doing the studies and taking her to the doctor and all that stuff, they were like, yo, by 1 or like by 18 months, her personality is already developed. Like, her temperament is what it's going to be going forward. You
Her temperament?
Now, outside of abuse, but like, her personality is already coming in at 2 years old.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's never too early. So, like, with that being said, right, it's not our job as an organization to raise your babies. It's our job to provide a service, to give programs to enrich them, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, yes, we had guiding principles, and those guiding principles are be a leader, you know what I'm saying? Be accountable. Learn situational awareness, you know, and then we wanted to promote fatherhood.
Right.
And bring down the epidemic of serial pregnancies from our black men in our community.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because there's a perception, and I see firsthand what I do in the community.
Right.
I want to ask, is your views on absentee fathers really what they say in the news? Because I don't see it. I do know that there is a truth to it about us not being around, but not at the levels that they say black men aren't in their kids' lives. You're doing a mentorship program where you work directly with the kids. What are they saying, brother?
There's a problem. I don't. No. I mean, like there is.
There
right?
is.
It
is.
Like,
I'm saying there is.
But like, look. It is perpetuated, and by perpetuated, what I mean is, it is pushed harder.
It's skewed.
It's pushed.
It's
skewed. It's pushed.
Yes.
Right. But also like there's not any one simple answer to that, right? Because what we also have to talk about is mass incarceration. You know what I'm saying? What we also got to talk about.
TR wants to say something. That man's
hold
hot.
on. Let me
Go
land.
ahead.
Let me land.
Go
Let me
ahead,
land.
Bill.
Let me land. So look. So let's get it out the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do black fathers exist, or are they these Bigfoots?
We sure.
You know what I'm saying? Or are they Yetis?
They do exist. I know.
Oh, Black Daddy.
Black Daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
So, but I would be remiss to sit there and and double down on it when and Josh included because Josh not included because Josh is a white dude.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm in a room with 4 incredible fathers and we're all black men. You know what I'm saying? So I can't sit in this room and say that the stipulation is, it doesn't exist or it's overplayed or whatever. What I'm saying,
I'm gonna step in and say this on top of you, Billy D, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in a room with 4 black men right now, and even though I am Josh the intern, white, aka White Chocolate. Okay. I'm gonna say this much. Okay. I don't have children, but I know enough about these 4 motherfuckers in the room right now that if the day that I'm blessed with a child, if I could be half the father that one of these 4 dudes in this room right now could be. I'll be doing better.
Wow.
So let me say this. Right? Because what I don't want to miss is the moment. Right?
Right.
So in that question that you gave me, it's important that I say this. I do believe that the stereotype of black men being absent fathers or even poor fathers, you know what I'm saying? I believe that is a stereotype. I believe that there are men out there who actually live up to that stereotype. Mm-hmm. But also, I believe that it's also very, very, very important that while I have that question to answer, that I also talk about mass incarceration, right? Mm-hmm. If you and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't want to get too deep into it, watch 13th.
Let's get deep into it.
Watch 13th, right? And that's talking about the 13th Amendment,
right?
You know,
that's
what I'm
a great documentary.
It's on Netflix, right? And what that talks about is how they privatize prisons to lock up black men, right? So in the 13th Amendment, yes, it did emancipate the slaves, which it did, free black. It did free black people, right? But also in there, it says that they're also subject to go back into slavery if they commit a crime. And what is that? And what is that slavery? That slavery is prison.
Slavery is prison.
You know what I'm saying?
I was just going to say that they implemented actually new laws as far as incarceration goes.
So with that being said, right? I don't want y'all to think that I'm dancing with you on that question, but I do want to take every opportunity that I can to talk about, to address things like mass incarceration, to also address stuff like black on black crime, which
black on black crime in the community plays a part in why the father. So let's talk about George Floyd. He's not here. You just left a fatherless child.
Right.
And all the stereotypes are going to say is, you don't have your daddy. Well, let's go into the story why I don't have my daddy. It's not that he isn't there.
In Greensboro, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to disrespect the family, but there was a man this year in 2021 who celebrated the baby shower of his soon-to-come kid on a Saturday, and on that Sunday, he was killed. You get what I'm saying? That is a baby who is now going to enter this planet without her black father. You get what I'm saying? Right. So it's like so like before we start talking about the stereotypes that are out there, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't care about stereotypes no more. You either want to be one or you don't, right? But that's a man's decision to become a stereotype. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with stereotypes. You know what I'm saying? It's my decision to love chicken and watermelon. I don't got to, but I'm a black man, so it's a stereotype that I should.
Shout out to chicken and watermelon.
But all jokes aside, right? I believe I believe that I believe that you do have the opportunity to make the decision on whether or not you do or don't want to be a stereotype.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, I don't care about stereotypes. A white person or any person from any race can think whatever they want to think about me. That does not define who I am, right? But what I do want to address, if there is a stereotype and if there is a stigma or if there is a system put in place that can perpetuate or enhance that stereotype, I want to address that. Right. I want to address the 13th Amendment. If the 13th Amendment still makes me a slave, even after I'm no longer a slave, I want to address that. Can we get another amendment to amend the amendment that stopped me from being a slave and then check me right back into that same system?
There you go.
Like, that's the problem that I have, right? So when we're talking about that, I also like, and then with all that being said, it's just we still have an issue in our own community where we're killing each other, right? And that's another black father that's gone. And that's another black father that's gone because he's in prison for killing somebody that looked like him in his community.
Yet the street says if you talk about it, you're snitching.
So
see, we got a lot of things.
And look, the streets is two different things, right? So look,
I'm just saying we get caught up in these social ideologies that's been created that says you as an innocent person shouldn't tell on the criminal.
But let's be clear when it comes to street talk, right? You're either a street dude or you're not. If you call the police and you're not a street dude, you ain't violating no street code.
But the people who don't know that.
And that's cool. That means you're not a street person.
I had to explain that to my son because he got into a situation with some kids. And I said, well, what's going on with it? Or you go, well, that's snitch. But son, you weren't a part of the activity. You were the victim.
But that's the new era that we live in. I think the new era we live in, I like to call Maybelline. Why? Because it's all makeup. You know what I'm saying? It's all what you want to be in the moment. And I'm being sincere with that. I mean, you know, from what these gentlemen been talking about, regardless of what you take from it, you got to give it the numbers. And Brother Josh knows that I'm a number person. And here's the thing. Number-wise, you got a number of men in here. You got 100%, Josh. You're not a father. Every man in here is a father.
Right.
Every man in here is black. Just so happen to be black. Every man in here is trying their best to do right by their kids. So by proxy, you can't say that, you know what, I know a lot of black folks or whatever. I know a lot of black men and they ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you know 4 people that you've been in a room with that I've been in this era of men that are trying their best. I have one that's trying to tell people financially where they need to be in their empowerment. I have one that's talking about the accountable youth as far as their community or whatever in empowerment, and they just so happen to be black.
And now, at the end of the day, we're all business owners in a sense.
And I'll say that to say this. Dylan knows that I am the devil's advocate when it comes to my black counterparts because I've seen it. I've seen the cats that we've hung out with, and I look at them and I say, dude, you can do better. As far as the numbers go, there's over 50%. So
I'm not black, and I've heard that too. I've heard that from TR as
give
well.
Him a break.
I've heard Josh, you can do better.
Well, you know what? I've actually given my brothers a break. You know what I'm saying? And this is actually where me and TR even goes at it. Y'all good over there. Me and TR actually goes at it a little bit because I might have been at one point the guy that has struggled to get it together, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe due to my struggles in life, I understand the guy that struggled.
And I've struggled, but guess what? I'm also James Evans with this shit.
Yeah, but
I'm also
you wasn't loosey goosey.
At the end of the day, I want to give a big shout out to Kay, to Trina, to Jasmine, to if there's a Mr. Billy D out there, Mrs. Billy D out there,
yes, Mrs.
and
D.
a Mrs. Chex for allowing the 5 of us to sit in this room today and have this conversation.
Well, this guy does not stop.
He don't stop.
No, but listen. Like, what we have is a collective of gentlemen, right? And
a league.
And this is the ideology when we say the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? Because everybody thinks it's a cool hashtag that we say for the Male Review. And me and Tar, I'm gonna go ahead and take this opportunity to go ahead and create what we've been talking about, TR.
Go ahead.
We've kind of nicknamed ourselves the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but me and TR had a conversation the other day, and we are going to actually make it a official ideal concept of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and we're going to invite my brothers here who are on the panel right now to be the first honorary members of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
While they attempt to break their phones.
Yeah, while he's trying to get his phone together because he's a diva. It appears
he's
to be
accountable for all of his actions.
Yeah, he's accountable. But so what this said is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We coined it as a hashtag, the leg. So when everybody hears the leg, they understand. They don't know what we mean. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So what we are now creating is a actual League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and the first honorary members are you two gentlemen, Chex and Billy D. Okay. So with that said, we want to include. With this said, we want to include guys who are doing very great things within their community, within their family. We want to create a image, because there's an image that men don't care. Men are harsh, men are this way, men are that way. And we want to actually control and change the narrative. And we're starting with you gentlemen, along with us gentlemen.
And let me say this. These are my brothers right here. And I will start by saying that we've had a conversation, each and every one of us. I've had a conversation with Mr. Billy D. Williams, and we've had an issue with the response, with the actual support. Let's be honest. There shouldn't be anything stopping us from raising $1,000 in a whole entire month, or a whole entire half a month even. Now, there's videos that are viral that have the support of these people that are ignorant videos that you get 1 million views.
Right.
We all know this. We all know you can get 1 million views easily if you do something ignorant.
Twerk.
But these guys are doing something.
Especially if you're a guy that twerking these days. But
Exactly. But you know what? We are honestly trying to empower our environment, because here's the thing. Nothing speaks louder than ignorance. And we're trying to honestly dull that idea down and speak louder with our intelligence, louder with our support, louder with our backing of our community. And these two gentlemen, one is saying that I care about our youth. Let me be the spokesman. Let me get that ball. We both got wide receivers right here, is what we trying to say to y'all. We both, if y'all know football, we got two great wide receivers. We got the best in the leagues right now. And y'all can't say that, okay, you know, we got one that's looking out for our youth, and all he's saying is throw me the ball. We got one that's saying that we care about the financial stability of our people individually, or period people. We're saying that if you don't care about your finances, really, where are we? Nothing speaks louder than where we are financially, where we are as a community, where we are, period, people. I'm getting tired of this a couple of views every so often. You know, we're sitting up here posting videos
of greatness.
Billy D has had, as a matter of fact, y'all might not know this, Billy D has had about 4 or 5 events, 2 actual summits.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, as far as, you know, did y'all know that? Or do y'all just know the idea of accountable youth? Do y'all know the details of accountable youth? And that's all I'm saying. Mr. Schexnayder has been talking about this financial empowerment for years. And brother TR thought the idea would be great by looking at the people. And here's the thing, and we just talked about this. Let's be transparent, people. I knew that the only way that y'all would come at this is to be entertained, not to be informed. Let's just be real with it. Not to be informed. And guess what? All the trash can come here. Because I know for a fact, if we're not entertaining you, you don't want to hear the information. So let's just be honest. If you want to look at the numbers, support these brothers, look at where we are as far as a community, you can't honestly tell me that I can look at a video with 2 chicks fighting. World Star back in the day. I'm dating myself.
Oh no, that was yesterday. What you talking about?
But these videos, to whereas you got a lot of negativity going on in our community. But Accountable Youth Summit still is under triple digits. You understand what triple digits are, people? Triple digits is like 100 views. You can't even get my brother up and over. But you can sit up here and look at our community as, oh, we need help. How do we need help? We need to help our damn selves. You dig what I'm saying? We need to help our damn selves. If you're financially stuck, here's a man that slept in the living room, ate oats. I'll say that again because it sounds so funny. He ate oats. He ate oats. And everybody that was around him thought that, oh, this dude is healthy. Healthy as hell. He's eating only oats in the morning and an orange. Oats and an orange.
For a whole year, I had a lifetime worth of fiber.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. Who do we really have to blame? And I'll let these dudes have the mic as far as what they represent and who they are.
If only.
If only. I'll hand it to Josh first, and Josh will hand it to Billy, and Billy will hand the checks. Let's go.
If only we knew somebody. If only there was a podcast on every Saturday from 2 to 4
that presents this.
That presented these kinds of this kind of information and these kinds of facts that could direct people into these areas where we could stop being the definition of insanity.
Of ignorance.
Okay, of ignorance.
Insanity and ignorance.
And we could learn to be different. We could learn for ourselves as adults so that our children, when they come up behind us, don't have to go through the same things that we had to go through. They don't have to endure the same things that we did as kids. They don't have to worry about the same worries that we have with our parents. Because when we look at our parents aren't financially settled. So if they have not already passed, that's something that we've got to deal with as well. Because what's going to happen when our parents pass, if they're still alive, where are their finances? What effort have they put in to being different? How do we change? And that is one of, I feel like, Chex right now got something to say about that.
I want to say this because I see it often, a lot, especially where I'm from, is that when the only thing we can prepare for in life is death. And then the first thing that comes up when somebody dies, they haven't planned for it, and your family is holding a fish fry to bury you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is, and now that you're dead, you're supposed to be the person that's putting your family ahead, but now when you die, you're putting your family in debt because they don't have the money to bury you.
Can you tell them how much they need to have, brother, just to bury somebody?
You have to have $10,000 minimum to bury somebody. You should have $10,000 life insurance to bury yourself.
So you got to save up to die.
It's the only thing that's the only thing guaranteed in life. Right? That's the only thing that you know that you're gonna do. So prepare yourself. Like, the only thing that's like when you have a baby, you're gonna get an onslaught of mail in the life for $10,000 Gerber life insurance. And what is that for? To bury your kid just in case they die, because that's the only thing that's guaranteed in life.
Right.
So prepare yourself for everything that's that. But this is the thing that I don't want. Us as a people, just like, you need to have life insurance for yourselves so you don't put your family in debt trying to put you in the ground, so you can go away proper, and also set your family up for future success. So if you're not there and you're the breadwinner and you don't have life insurance and nobody's working in your house, or they're not making enough money to like, what are you doing? Like, I understand, all right, that's an extra $40 a month or $30 a month or something like that. But is your family worth the extra $30, $40 a month to set them up to when you're not here, they're properly set up to succeed after you're gone?
Outstanding.
You have to do that.
So you're talking. So what you're saying basically is, like, you're saying $30, $40 a month, right? What's that break down to a week?
A cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee
every day.
So if you can't,
I know people that buy a bottle every weekend. in the club, but they don't have life insurance.
Look here, man. You ain't gonna just be. Hold on. You ain't gonna just be talking about.
Come on, man.
Hold on. You just ain't gonna just be talking about what we
care
do.
about them kids too.
All I'm trying to say is
this is important to my existence.
So you're talking about a bottle a weekend.
So you're telling me I gotta cut out my bottle of Hennessy? I don't know, bro.
I
don't know.
All I'm saying is
I don't know.
$1 a day. $1 a day. You can't afford $1 a day.
He can afford $1 a day.
Have you dealt with Patrina Harrison? No, you haven't.
Well, you know what? Patrina Harrison, if you don't have that $1 a day, she gonna put you in the doggone crematory, and you gonna be in the
So let me ask you this though: does Mrs. Checks? Does she have a friend, Miss Checks?
Miss Money.
Miss Money is what we're gonna call her.
Miss Money. Does Miss Money have a friend that drives a Kia though?
Does she have a friend that drives a Kia? Oh man, I don't know. Does she?
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You had to be there.
Well, I'm gonna put it to you like this, man. Look, if I was to die today, my wife has life insurance. We have a house. You know, she can go back home. She can sell. We got equity in the house. I have investments. She can cash out. You know, it's just
right. So financially speaking,
if I was to die, my wife can pay off everything that I own, make a little money, and get on with her life. And don't have to worry about being in debt, messing up her credit, because I left her with a whole bunch of burden.
I don't know if I want to leave. I don't. She just gonna have to deal with it. I don't want her to be.
Well, that's the voice of ignorance right there. That's the voice of ignorance.
Yeah, that's me talking on the voice. I don't know if I want her to do good, because that make it easy for the next motherfucker to live off my hard work. Trina just can't live good. Trina just can't live good. I done bust my ass and I done died.
Hold on. Digress. Billy, what you got? Billy, what you got?
The Bible says you leave an inheritance for your children's children.
Wow. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, he's not wrong. You know?
Right.
I know he's right, but it's hard to live that way.
I'm gonna put it like this.
Billy, Dollar's ignorance won't let him understand what you're saying.
Look, I take marriage seriously. If I sit up there and I said, "Hey, you gonna be my wife?" You know, that's me saying, "Hey, I'm gonna take care of you." That's just what it is. I love that woman so much. I'm gonna take care. I love my kids so much. I bring a kid into this world. I want to put so much forward. You know, like to set them up, and that's what it is.
I feel like now's the time for a disclaimer that all thoughts and views put on this, because we do live by the FDK. So
no, the other part. Wrong
disclaimer. Okay, so all thoughts and views expressed on Yale Radiocast through the mail review do not reflect directly upon Yale Radiocast and any of its members.
But that being said, I guess, you know, Mr. Schexnayder has just a present situation to pronounce or whatever, because he is that guy. And the reason why we brought him on to this forum or whatever, because we felt like he was the most transparent with his life, the most progressive with his life. Because I know that personally, I can't tell you that in stocks in my portfolio, I have a 6-figure configuration in my portfolio in one annual representation. I can't tell you that. I don't think Mr. Dollar can tell you that, but we got one person that could. Look, when we're not the best for this forum, we'll give you somebody that is. That being said, we're not the best when it comes to them kids, because Dollar and Williams say FDK.
I sure do.
Do we know what FDK stands for?
I sure do.
FDM.
Man, look, man.
And you know what? He doesn't really believe that. He doesn't really empower that. But
because he was outstanding with his role and his selective choices, even with his mistakes.
Right.
I was loosey-goosey with my penis.
Right. and we get that. But guess what we do have? We do have a man. We do have a man that's saying, in our community, we have to be responsible with our kids.
Yes.
Dollar already knows, Mr. Billy, that you frown upon that. Because I frown upon that. I say in the beginning that you have to be responsible. You can't have a play date without a serious conversation. You cannot have a play date. But so many of us want the quick and easy answer.
Right.
But Mr. Billy D. Williams, I will honestly say that as far as you are concerned and you go, you represent the community of responsibility. So, I mean, brother, where do you see accountable youth going in our future? We have to have a future path. What do you see, my brother? Help us out.
So, I can only talk about the program that we're about to start. We're starting a Healthy Habits program. So what was cool about doing the town hall was after it was seen on the news, North Carolina A&T State University, HBCU, called us and said that they wanted Accountable Youth to partner with them so that we could teach kids how to be healthy. I'm sorry about that. So we've partnered with them, and through some incredible work with our vice president, we were able to get Burlington Cummins High School football team. Right, so like starting in August, we will be teaching an entire football team in the state of North Carolina about how to be healthy, what to eat, what not to eat, especially in this time of COVID. We start that this coming August when the school year and the football season begins.
Right.
But what we've also did was we're integrating our own program with that, and it's called CASE. And CASE is Character, Athletics, Sports Excellence. And what we'll be doing is we'll be bringing in coaches and hopefully professional athletes that can talk to the kids every other few weeks to talk to them about being of good character, what it is to be an incredible athlete, what it is to be excel at sports and be excellent in all those things. We just had Hugh Jackson, NFL coach, who was at Cleveland forever.
Outstanding.
And he did a drop for us to encourage the kids that we have in our program to get the most out of this program, be the best that they could be. We want to bring in professional chefs, and from there we hope that we can parlay this into other community programs that we want to implement. You know what I mean? So we're doing that. For what it's worth, check us out. We're on accountable.youth.org. We're also, any of our content, you can see it, especially on RTV. Give RTV his love. Anything that we do, you can see it there. You can also see it on our YouTube channel, and you can always give at accountable.youth.org/donate. All right.
Right.
Appreciate you.
Right.
So big shout out to you, Billy D, for coming on the show today. Big ups to accountable.youth.org. Okay. Do everything that you can if you are in his area, even if you're not around any of the areas there, support that. Okay.
Right.
We at Yale Radiocast appreciate you being on the show, the Mad Review. We love you, Billy D. Thank you for coming on. And that was to quote TR earlier, we love you. Okay.
I love you.
I love you.
Look.
Continue to come on the show.
I just want to say this. I just want to say this. We all want. Hold on. We just all want y'all to be successful in y'all journeys in life or whatever. That's what we really want. We really want, as far as even if you're an adult, we want you to be successful from this point on. We want you to listen to us and have this journey with us. We might not be right all the time, but guess what? We want to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? We want you to be so successful, people,
are you
to where you can give. No, listen to me, Josh.
Are you finished?
Where you can give your brother a Basquiat painting.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't know what Basquiat is, then just go Google it or whatever. But we want to be so great.
He's
we
so
want
sensitive.
no salt. I love all my brothers. But that's what we want to be. Josh, close us out, brother. Or are we gonna go?
I just want to say,
Basquiat painting. I don't know.
Yo, happy birthday, DJ Brick.
Yes, DJ Brick. Did you put the camera on me? DJ Brick and DJ. Oh, hold on. Miss Flo. We want her on here because tell them what Miss Flo is. She's in Atlanta. She lives in Atlanta, but she's so close, so knitted to Accountable Youth. Just go ahead and explain your roster, sir.
Oh man, AY, we have the best board in the business. Shout out to Flo. Shout out to Wendell, our vice president. Shout out to Kareem, he's our marketing director. Kristen Williams is our secretary. You know what I'm saying? And am I missing it? And Miss Nashaka Proctor, that's our events director. Without them, I am nothing. Without them, Accountable Youth ceases to exist.
Okay.
Shout out to all of them, man, and be on the lookout for more stuff.
Gotta rep the crew. Gotta rep the crew.
Big shout outs to all the Accountable Youth program, everybody involved with it. Chex, we look forward to your show. It is upcoming on Yale Radiocast and RTV. And what is the name of your show again?
Financially speaking, I'm gonna put something out there and some numbers, because most people have questions about, hey, what I'm gonna invest in, what should I do, what do I do this, what's the best this, what's the best that, and I know I'm in more so of a long-term type of investment type deals and all that other stuff, and with the type of environment that we've been in with this volatile stock market, people are getting used to these big gains where they just put money in and it's like, oh, I invested in Bitcoin at $1, it's at $80,000 now. Like yeah, you know what I'm saying? GameStop, where it's not about the numbers.
So that's not realistic then?
No, GameStop is not realistic. It was a meme stock. They call them meme stocks. Okay. Where you get in there and they hype it up, a whole bunch of people buy it, and then all the people with a lot of money, they cash out on it. Or somebody takes a big number of stock, like they bought 10 million shares, and they're like, oh, it went up to $200. Click, sold it all, and then the regular person that bought 200 shares and spent their life savings is in the hole, you know what I'm saying, and they don't know what to do now.
So you mean we should probably learn something about this before we go in and put money
on financially speaking?
This is the problem that's happening. People are because of social media, people are joining these groups and they're listening to people that they think is expert advice. And it's not.
Ladies, let me tell you about how wrong your man is. And go ahead and while you're at it, buy my book, FYF, The Universal Truth.
But yeah, we look forward to your show for sure.
Yes,
we look forward to your show.
I'm gonna put it like this. The numbers are there. I made the money. I made 6 figures in the stock market outside of work.
I need you to say that once again, brother, because I don't think these people can see what you just said.
I made 6 figures outside of work.
I ain't make 6 figures inside of work.
A year, you know what I'm saying? So, and I've had a couple things that I dabbed in that I actually, and I made the money, and I couldn't believe it myself. I couldn't believe that I actually done research to make this amount of money, and I want to share it with everybody. That's what I want to do.
That's what's up. Well, we'll definitely be tuning into that show. Again, that show is up and coming on Yale Radiocast and RTV. It is entitled Financially Speaking, featuring Chex, and we look forward to all that up and coming. We're going to wrap up today's show of the Male Review. We got to thank again Billy D of Accountable Youth being here. We appreciate you every time you come through. We look forward to having you again in the future and checking up on the future of Accountable Youth and where it goes from here. Chex, we look forward to your show. TR, what you got for us while we end the show of the Male Review today?
I say if you're going to get any business, get the new business. Get Accountable Youth. Get that business. Get Financially Speaking. Get that business. Because as far as relationships go with what we talk about on a daily forum, whatever, I feel like you ain't getting it. And eventually TR is going to be off y'all forum. You know what I'm saying? I mean, TR is not that guy up front. He shows out, yeah. But eventually he's going to recess and he's going to back up. But what we do want to give y'all is tangible content. And what I mean by that tangible content is y'all need something, honestly, that'll move y'all forward. Y'all don't need something that's just going to entertain y'all. But if we can entertain y'all and move y'all forward, that's what we definitely going to do. So when we say get the business, we talking about the entire business, people. So we please get it. If not, we're going to shove it down your goddamn throat.
And let's kick it over to our CEO to wrap it up for the day for the Male Review, Mr. CEO Yale.
We're going to really shove it down their throat. Hey, some people like legs to be...
Some people like to choke.
Yeah, some people like to choke. Some people like legs. Some people like it. Anyways.
Thighs.
I want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in to Yale Radiocast, the Male Review. Shout out to the groups, Women in the Mic, Rap Analytics. I hope people get I hope today you get a clear understanding of what we're trying to provide here at the Male Review. Once again, this is conversations from a man's perspective, for you to get a good understanding that men aren't what you might see here or there. We are all of that. We are good, we are bad, we are up, we are down, we have down times, we have up times. At the end of the day, for the most part, we're all trying to be better men. So don't, as I said with TR earlier, we have this back and forth. Sometimes you can't judge us in our moment right there.
Sometimes we bash, sometimes we build.
Sometimes we bash, sometimes we do. Sometimes we
build.
Yeah, sometimes we build. Sometimes we have to get to a point where we are in life to be the men that has been presented to you today. And I hope everybody understands that. Once again, this is the league, officially the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Shout out to Mark L, man. He ain't here. He's out being a good provider and assistance to somebody that's on his side.
This is the second time I came. Mark L ain't been here.
Mark L, I think Mark L is...
Really? I didn't even
realize that. Yeah, because you brought the padding. Yeah, Mark L, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Billy D is saying what's up.
You don't notice, bro. You don't know.
Mark L is officially on notice. But once again, this is the Male Review on Yale Radiocast. Thank you everybody for tuning in, chiming in. Shout out to the women alongside and behind and in front of even the great men that's on this platform. We appreciate everybody. Follow us on every platform.
Thank you for allowing us to entertain you.
Thank you for allowing us to entertain you. We're on RTV. Of course, YaleRadiocast.com. Of course, YouTube at RTV in Yale Radiocast.
And I want to thank Billy D for coming through with a deeper voice than myself on the radio. I'm just going to say that much, too.
I think he just talks slower than you. Let me get you to understand.
Let me,
But his voice ain't for kids. Check's voice is for kids.
But thank you, everybody, man. And we was talking about all this great business, but at the end of the day, the motto is get the business.
Yale Radiocast.